Gathered friends, listen one last time to our legend of the Bionicle. Welcome to Bionicle Day, everyone.
Oh.
What did you just do to your microphone?
I don't know who did that, but whatever. Here we are with a final episode of Gathered Friends from the G2 saga with our special guest, Ryder Windham.
Hello.
And of course, today we have most of our usual hosts. We have Josie, Levi, and filling in for Chip today, who unfortunately couldn't make it, is Lena.
Is alternate universe female Chip from the new PS5 game, Ratchet & Clank PS5.
Nice. Hello, I am Lena. You may or may not know me from wherever.
I literally have no idea who you are, other than you're gonna pull our butts out of the fire on this. Make sure we don't embarrass the entire Bionicle community in front of our very good boy, Ryder Windham.
Don't worry, I already have.
You've done that already.
Anyway,
every word out of my mouth is a forest fire waiting to happen.
Anyway, since we're a little bit behind scheduled, let's just jump right into it, shall we?
Certainly. So first, Mr. Windham, I would like to start by just saying how much of an honor it is to just talk with you, be in your presence in general, because you really just breathe life into G2 as a whole, and you're actually the reason that I'm a Bionicle fan in the first place.
Ryder? Have we lost him already to the volume?
Oh no.
Canceled a third time.
We have returned, everyone! Technical issues abound, but I think we've finally got it sorted.
We have resurrected Ryder Windham! Skype could not kill this man!
So, when we left off, Lena, are you still here?
Yes, I am still here.
Lena, you were saying some very kind things about my work, and that I just, where I was, how to put this? Freelance writers work largely, I think, in isolation, or at least I do, and so that I don't always. I mean, sometimes I'll read, forums and whatnot to see, did people like it? Did they enjoy it? But you told me that my work seemed to be an introduction to Lego Bionicle for you. I mean that's it's humbling. I'm glad you enjoyed them so much.
And I can promise you, she's not the only one.
I definitely enjoyed the books as well. I enjoyed the last one the most personally, just because it definitely showed that as mentioned earlier on in previous interviews and by Lena, some of the first books heavily had to rely on the cartoons, which didn't have the best writing to work off of, and I feel very bad that you were restrained to working with that.
Well, I guess, I mean, just to explain, I mean, for people who aren't aware of the history of, how all that came about. I was working with two different editors, one at Scholastic and one at Little Brown, and so there were different. But that the way that the whole project worked, that initially it was the editor at Scholastic who contacted me, asked if I would be interested in working on Lego Bionicle stories, and Lego provided me with what they referred to as a story Bible and character guide.
I think we actually have that archived, funnily enough.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, but that's just what I mean. I read through it and I realized that I wouldn't say the story. So I can clarify, Lego's story, I wouldn't say it was bad at all. But I would say that it was very limited in that they'd already come up with an entire story. They had a story. It's like it begins here and it ends there. here's everything that happens in between. And I questioned that, not because I was, and it's always a tricky thing because I am a freelance writer. I want to work, I want to please the client, and I don't want to get fired.
Right.
but what I saw was that I thought, like, well, what if someone is buying these Lego toys and they, or the Bionicle toys, and they want to create their own spin-off stories on their own fan fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed that there was very little opportunity for that, because the trajectory of the story was, here is the story that we have. I mean, it would almost be like saying, okay, here's the Star Wars trilogy, the first one with A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and I was given these screenplays, and I said, well, what happens off screen and what happens in between the movies? And the response would be, oh, nothing. So this is the entire story. There are no blanks to be filled in. So I tried to explain. It's like, okay, if all I'm doing is adapting a cartoon, if all I'm doing is, just working with the cartoon, that's a very limited experience. You want to, you want to give the audience something new, something different. So it was a bit of a struggle, but I guess I should say, based on many years of working on Star Wars books, that I'm kind of used to dealing with, that's sort of a challenge.
Right.
So just to clarify, I wouldn't say the story that it was a bad story, just that it was a very narrow, it was just one story. So for me, I was very pleased that Lego allowed me to elaborate on different histories and different characters.
I feel like a lot of the limitations of G2 were a direct response to how out of control the story of G1 kind of spiraled, with Greg Farshtey writing it.
I have no idea. I don't know. They and I may get in trouble for saying this. I mean, I read one of Greg Farshtey's books, maybe like over 20 years ago, I guess, or about 20 years ago, and just because I had reason to. There were, at the time where I thought, but that. When the call came to me, or my editor contacted me about the reboot for Bionicle, I was told, it's like, okay, this is a fresh start. It's a total reboot. The characters have lost their memories. They don't remember what has transpired. Here's the story Bible, so that I suppose so. So, a bunch of people said, oh, so does this mean you have to read up all the... And I said, no, I don't have to read the history of anything. I'm just working with what I have right here. Mm-hmm. So, I can't really say, what was their planning. I think definitely they wanted to give it a fresh start. But I think that it probably would have been beneficial to them. If Lego had thought of it, I think, as more of an ongoing saga, as opposed to a limited storyline, I think that would it have worked better? I don't know. Would more toys have sold because of that? Again, I don't know. I think that it's
Power Rangers works like. Well, I think what you're describing sounds to me like Power Rangers, and that's doing pretty well. Every iteration of Power Rangers is different and just linked together by similar themes and obviously the costumes.
One thing I just wanted to mention quickly.
Final Fantasy does it incredibly well, and the only thing linking those together is the presence of chickens.
Sorry, Josie, I just wanted to mention something. One of our viewers in chat mentioned, I think Mr. Windham would have liked working on G1. There's so much room, places, time, characters that were mysterious for fans and writers alike to explore. And I was told by Lena earlier that you were actually at one point scheduled to work on G1, were you not?
Well, yeah, it was a brief thing, and that's why. I mean, as far as how I wound up reading one of the books, I'm pretty sure that it was around 2000 or 2001 that editor at Scholastic contacted me, asked if I'd be interested in working on this Lego Bionicle property. The editor sent me toys. Sent me, maybe it was an initial story Bible. I mean, a lot of reference materials. I think even some comic books, which had appeared at a convention somewhere. So I had a lot of visual material and reference material. I'd spent a few days reading all of this and had a conference call set up with the editor, and she called me and apologized and said, sorry, this it's just fallen through. It looks like Greg Farsky is going to be working on all of the books. And this was news to me. I mean, it's like, as far as
they didn't tell you before they already hired Greg. Oh, that's awful.
See, that's just it. I think at the time, I can only imagine how all that went down. For all I know, that. Just there may have been subsequent discussions. Because initially, because I worked as an editor, a comic book editor years ago. I mean, I know the editorial perspective is such that you don't want one person to. If you have a licensed property, it's very dangerous to allow, say, a single writer to be dedicated to a big project, because what happens if something, what happens if you want to get 3 issues out at 1 month instead of, just a single issue? What if there's a lot of buildup? What if you want to do a spin-off novel, where you think, okay, one person can maybe only handle so much, but if you have deadlines, that could be a problem. So, in any event, what the editor told me, it's like, okay, I'm out of the running. I thought, well, yeah, that's disappointing to me, because I'd spent a few days reviewing the material, but it was entirely beyond my control. And also, I hadn't even started writing anything. I hadn't started writing an outline or getting. I can't even recall. Did I have any story ideas? I don't think I'd even gotten that far. I was just reviewing. I was reading the material. So yeah, that was my initial introduction to Bionicle. But that so when nearly, I forget what it was, 18 or I don't know, 17 years later, something like that, where it came back to me, and I thought, wait, are we on the level? Really? You want to work with me? So, but I was delighted. I thought, yeah, it was nice to have another opportunity, and and when I was totally enjoying working on the books and the comics. So when I got word that Lego was essentially ending production of or the series, I mean, it was crushing to me.
That doesn't really surprise me in retrospect either, because they did the same thing to Greg. He found out, I think it was secondhand, that they were just saying, okay, it's time, bring out the robot and wrap it up. And he just jumped on a plane to Denmark to try and convince them otherwise.
Well, yeah, it's fun. I can't say I've ever jumped on a plane. Forgive me. I mean, it's like, if that really happened, but I think, yeah, I think he was. I'm sure that he was more invested. He was more invested than I was, and I respect.
For him, it had been a decade-long commitment. For you, it was like a couple years. Sure. You can't be blamed for For not, well, I'm going to pay several $100s for a plane ticket to get my job back instead of.
It was such a premature ending too for G2 because it was originally supposed to have a 3-year schedule, and at least with G1 they made their schedules, but G2 they just cut it a whole year early.
Yeah, all the decade-long build-up in G1 and all they could come up with, because they ended it so quickly. They came up with what if the small robot hit the big robot with a big rock, and that's how it ended. And it sounds to me like your take on Bionicle was ended just as abruptly, if not more so.
But I mean, it was abrupt, but that when it ended, I was, if memory serves, because I mean, I don't mean to sound like give me a jerk when I say that when I'm done with a project, I'm usually thinking about the next project and working and concentrating on that. I very rarely look back.
Totally understandable.
And it's not like, oh, I'm a shark, I have to keep moving forward. It's not like that. It's just that. But as I recall, I was not working. I mean, whatever project I had delivered to, whether it was a script for a comic or one of the juvenile novels. Whatever it was, I mean, I delivered it. I was paid for it.
Right. That there was a third graphic novel that was announced and then later canceled.
Yeah, but it's again, I can't. All I remember is that I was paid for the work that I did, and I don't think that there was any work. I mean, although something may have been announced, I don't have any secret lingering scripts that were never published. There's nothing that that I could recall, because if I would have remembered that, but I guess it was crushing to me, because I really did enjoy working on them and was hoping to continue through for a while. So it was a surprise to me. I think that
It was a surprise to a lot of us.
Yeah, I got messages from Lego Bionicle fans that were, I mean, it was almost like, oh goodness, like, messages of mourning and outrage. And it's, but again, I thought, it's so beyond my control that I can't worry about it. Can I hope that maybe sometime in the future, and various editors remember me as somebody who did his best. I mean, if it disappointed anyone, I'm sorry, but I really just
If there was any disappointment to be had, it was most certainly not on your hands.
Okay, and that. But I think my job is to please the client, to meet the deadlines, and I hope always also to entertain the audience, the readers. So it was you're making me sad all over again that it was canceled. I hadn't really, I really hadn't thought about it in a while. I mean, and just like sort of as an aside, recently an editor contacted me about working on yet another Star Wars book. And I wrote a Star Wars book last year, or I think I worked on 3 last year. And but anyway, it's like just a few weeks ago, I was going through my library and reference books, and I'm thinking, maybe it's about time to sell these Star Wars books, because I haven't gotten an offer in a long time, and these things are just taking up space. So, granted, it's also there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah.
and I'm thinking
very bad time to do just about anything.
So I'm thinking maybe it's time to clean out. Maybe I don't know. So that but it's more fumbling with
Yeah, I
words
just want
right
to say,
now,
Lena,
but-
your keyboard is very loud.
Sorry. I keep it on the same sentence. Sentence? I keep it on the same surface as my microphone, which is probably not the best idea.
Anyways, go on. Ryder?
Yeah. You hear me?
Yep.
Yep. Sorry.
Just
Yeah,
quick,
it was just
Ryder.
that my as much as I enjoy working on projects, I'm not long-term affectionate for where because I can't afford to be. I just think no, it's a job and it's assignment, and but that if Lego were to come back and say, Ryder, we'd love to work with you and help us develop something that could lead to, how do you think we could do something that's might work on an ongoing basis? Would be, I'd enjoy that conversation. But on the other hand, if it's just like, okay, we're coming out with this thing, we want you to write an adaptation of this. It's like, well, I can do that too. I have that experience. So, anyway, I'm flexible, but I'm not very sentimental. It's more, it's more. I'm maybe kind of passionate about a project while I'm working on it, but then when very into it. Very professional about it when it's done, and if it's not leading to more work, I can't help but thinking, okay, that's taking up room in my office, or I have to,
and in your mind too,
something.
because it's good to retain focus on what's presently on the docket.
Right, yeah. So I think I mean, if thinking back, because I have not. Reread my own books. I don't look at them unless there's a reason for it. Unless I have to, I'm working on some new project. I have to remember, where did that character? Who did he talk to at that place? Or I have to look it up. Mm-hmm. But that when I think about for what if you were to ask, what's your most significant contribution to Lego Bionicle? I would say probably goodness. Now I can't remember exactly what the sidekicks, the Toa,
The
Protectors.
Oh, thank you, the Protectors. Yeah, that I mean, in the story Bible that I had, there was.
They didn't even have names.
They did not. They did not have names. There was like the Protector of Stone, Protector of Fire, and. I wasn't in a big huff about it. I said, well, are there names for these characters? Nope, they are the Protectors. And I said, well,
oh dear.
If I'm writing these stories and it's just like the Protector of Stone looked over his shoulder or her shoulder, I just remembered thinking, it's like it would be a lot easier if they had names. If memory serves, I think that it was Protector of Stone that I made that character a female.
That was Earth.
Is that right?
The Protector of Earth, and we don't blame you for misremembering, because
it was a
They
long
are
time
very
ago.
generic.
Okay, so Protector of Earth, yeah.
To this day, nobody knows why they separated Stone and Earth in the Bionicle. It's lost to time.
I never questioned.
It was a decision made early on in G1. They were going to do just the 4 classical elements: Earth, Wind, Fire, Air, and then
Wind and air.
And then Lego was like, "We want to do 6. Can you split? Can you make 6?" And it was so. I guess that was so last minute. The best it could come up with was split water into water and ice, and Earth into Earth and less Earth.
Yeah, well,
no one knows why, but you did the best. You did the best you could.
The thing, yeah, okay. Well, I didn't know the backstory of like Lego wanting to add more characters back then, but when I saw, I looked at the character designs. So for protector of, I thought I want one of the protectors, at least one of the protectors, to be female. I thought because Gali was or is it Gali? I don't know. The protector of the Toa water.
Yeah.
Right. That I thought, okay, to give a female sidekick, that would be kind of like Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl, and that's to me it just struck me as like a lame idea. So when I looked at again, there was I was dismissing my own thoughts as like, no, that would be lame if you did that.
It is quite something that it is quite a good idea that you decided against that, though, because in G1 all the blue ones were female, and they were the only females for the most part.
They introduced more females later, and they were still blue.
Okay, yeah, I did not know, but I knew that if not a lame choice, an obvious choice maybe would have been to have a female sidekick for this female character. I looked at the character designs and the Protector of Earth. I just thought, it's a tough-looking character. I think the shoulders are broader. I mean, it's just the weapon. There was something there, the tool, the weapon digger thing. And I just looked and I thought, why not? Why not make that Protector of Earth a female? Because there's without any suggested that Lego accepted it. They didn't say, we think maybe it would be better to do this, or why not have that character instead. I mean, the fact that they were immediately open to that idea, I thought, good on Lego. That was just, they liked it. One thing they did that, and I can't remember at what stage they did it, that Lego provided me with a essentially like a character name creator system. How to put this? It's like, imagine something that is like a pronunciation key combined with like a word building system, so that they said, okay, here essentially here are the sounds phonetically, a list of like letter combinations that you can string into any number of combinations in order to build names for characters. And that came in handy. I mean, it was kind of funny because I think what they were doing was they wanted to try to. I know that there had been some with some dispute with the first Bionicle series about the names of characters or things. Well, forgive me.
The Maori controversy in 2001.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I mean, because I never read or reread those books. All I knew was like there was some controversy about the naming.
It was after that Lego decided that pretty much every name they made had to go through
not using any real world language as a source. So for the protectors, if I remember right, I did make up the names of the protectors. However, were secondary characters, or then there was the story I wrote one of the one of the graphic novel stories has the protectors from ages earlier,
Anyways, since we're back, and this seems like as good a time as any, Lena, would you like to jump into some of the questions we have laid out?
Certainly. Okay, let's see. So you were talking about the ideas with like making the Protector of Earth female, giving the protectors names, and I believe, if memory serves me right, that the skull raiders in the underground city were your idea as well.
Oh goodness. Oh, I don't remember. My general rule of thumb is that I rarely create anything unless I have to. I mean, with licensed properties, unless there's, something like if I try to work with what they have, and I honestly I can't recall. As far as what I made up, what was the name of the character or the
The skull raiders. They're basically an underground community of pirates from another land on the planet that Akota was on.
It was the skeleton sets.
Yeah, I did. Okay, yeah, that sounds like something I made up. I don't.
One of them I know off the top of his head. His name was Skull Grinder, I believe, and the name in the books was given as Kulta. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think. I guess I saw some opportunity for creating a backstory and maybe another bunch of enemies to fight. There was. It was really something where I guess, and along the lines of what I'd. My observation about the story Bible was just that it was very limited, and so I think if memory serves, I pitched the idea of what if there is this unseen enemy that might exist in the books. Not there's not any obviously it's not a toy related thing.
Yeah.
It could be. It just seems like something that could work, but I think if I can't remember all the details, but just from the underground pirate thing, that sounds like something I made up.
So wait, are you saying that the skull guys that was something that you came up with and wasn't a toy?
I think that they already had a character named Skull Grinder or something. There was a character.
They had an entire wave of figures, and every single one of them had Skull in their names.
Yeah. So, but there was something. The character who, if I remember right, I think there was a character who appeared in the cartoons, and I thought it seemed to me that there should be some opportunity of. Who was this guy? Where did he come from? What happened to him after? Did he survive? Did he? I know that I extrapolated. I thought maybe we can get some mileage out of this somehow. That's my best recollection. If I'd actually through the books or the comics, I might before we had this conversation, I could give you a better answer.
It's okay. We barely prepared either.
I mean, something else. I'm not certain of where the idea came from, but I think the idea of having a flying machine,
airship.
Yeah, I think there was for the I think it was the ancient protectors moved around in this kind of ancient. I mean, it was this. It was. I just thought, gosh, it would be really cool, visually as well as anything else, but also practical. Why not have some kind of an airship that they could get around in? And if I remember right, it was featured in the comic book story with the ancient, or the graphic novel story for the ancient protectors.
Yeah.
Usually it was depicted as a blimp.
Was it? Yeah, I can't recall. I mean, it's I wrote it, but it was a while ago. Can't remember. So, yeah, I think I did create stuff as I went along when there was opportunity, but for the most part, the goal is to Lego sell toys too. So it's like, yeah, I didn't want to stray too far. So even with the ancient protectors, their armor and masks were essentially the same as their contemporary counterparts. So it was I thought, well, if Lego wants to repackage, if they wanted to take the ancient protectors and, I don't know, make slightly different paint variations or something. I mean, it seemed like, yeah, that would be doable if they wanted to do that, but never happened.
The big good of the story was his original set was just a fancy protector. Yes.
Yeah, Ikimu really was just a protector in design, wasn't he?
Yep.
Is that
the gold one with the fancy mask? That was essentially the logo.
The mask maker, yeah.
Okay, right, yeah. Which I guess never. I think that wasn't the golden mask meant to be like the great finale of as a marketing tool. I think.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
The first year, I believe.
Mm. And then they made another gold. They used Makuda's mask as the big final mask for the second year.
Okay.
And then never made an actual Makuda set.
So sad.
Yeah, we were all so disappointed that they ended Bionicle, because just again,
Anyways,
Bionicle was given time. Bionicle G1 was given time to develop into what it was, and it didn't seem. It seemed like Lego was. It's the SpongeBob problem, as I call it. A company like Nickelodeon, if a cartoon isn't as popular as SpongeBob became after 10 years, they cancel it right away and move on to the next thing. They want something that's as popular as SpongeBob, but they don't want to give it time to actually build up.
Yeah, it's also, I think, it's not just the expectation or the goal of like, okay, we're going to create something, we want it to be just as popular as this, and it's like people should learn there's no formula for popular and successful. There really isn't. It's you can try, you can aim high. That as far as what catches on and what doesn't, sometimes things need time. I think another example of that would be the TV show Freaks and Geeks. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where it lasted one season. Goodness, Firefly is another one. Just like these.
Another one.
What I think of are really great TV shows, that live action shows, and they lasted one season simply because some number cruncher at the network thought, no, we're done with this, and it's unfortunate.
Fox, for a long time, had a habit of just ending their shows right away after one season, or letting them go on for a couple of years and then randomly changing them into something completely different, making everyone hate it.
Right.
I sat through all of Sliders, and I thought this show is pretty good. And then I guess randomly there was a corporate mandate or something. Like, okay, well now it needs to have aliens. It's like, oh wow, there's a lot of Discord beeps.
Anyways, Lena, do we have anything else?
There are a couple. There are a few regarding thoughts and interactions with the fan community that can be like 2G2 fans in particular, or just in general, just have you met or interacted with any G2 fans or Bionicle fans in general, aside from interviews?
Except, I take that back. I was at oh gosh, it was a comic book convention in Connecticut several years ago, and there was I saw I was signing I have Star Wars books mostly, and I think some Indiana Jones, and but anyway, there was this young woman. I don't. She might have been a teenager. She might have been 20ish, and she came up and she looked really shy, and she had a couple of the Lego Bionicle novels and asked me to sign them. My recollection, those are the only two Lego Bionicle books I've ever autographed. And because it's like I never, there were never any scheduled book signings or convention, for Lego Bionicle, Scholastic, Little Brown collectively. Was there any effort to send me to a convention to do signings? No, there weren't any, and I didn't take it personally. I just thought, in hindsight, it seemed like, should they? I don't know. It's like I don't know how they, how those decisions are made.
They hired a professional skateboarder to promote Bionicle G1.
There you go. So as far, but I talked with. I talked to. It was a pleasant conversation for just a few minutes, but I was knocked out because I just realized, wow. It's like I told her, I said, as of right now, you only autographed copies of these books. I've never, no one's ever asked me before. So that was kind of neat. And beyond that, I can't think of anyone who's somebody. Henry Gilroy is a writer, a good friend. Henry and I, we go back to, we met when I was working at Dark Horse Comics. I hired him. His first work in comics, he was already doing work for animation studios. And
yeah, he worked on the original Bionicle movie trilogy.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm actually reading now. He is the co-writer. He was the co-writer for various episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Right, and he worked on Star Wars Rebels also, and Henry's had a thrilling career. I'm just a domestic guy, I just work from home. But no, Henry's fantastic, and it was around the time that I didn't land the assignment for Scholastic 20 years ago that Henry, I think, was working on the screenplays or the first one. So no, he was very into it too. So so last year, Henry visited me, and we got together, and we talked about Bionicle, which was interesting. Just for like, hey, what happened? That's about it. I can't say I have any other contact with Lego fans. Bionicle fans specifically.
Right.
Okay.
I would say try to get in touch more, but right now the Bionicle community is kind of eating itself right now. So we'll call you when it's safe.
Well, if Lego Bionicle fans wanted to commission me to write a fan fiction novel or story. If everybody, ponied up a couple of bucks from their allowance or something, you might, I could be affordable. You might be surprised. So, it's that's how I work. It's just it's not from a sad characteristic of how I became a writer. I became a writer because I stopped editing comic books, and I'd written scripts for a few, and a friend at Lucasfilm started recommending me. He called me. He said, we've got all these book projects coming up. We need writers, and you know our editorial expectations, and it wasn't long after that conversation I got an assignment from Scholastic to write a series of Star Wars books. I'd never written books before. I'd never written role-playing game books or guidebooks. You know, if somebody contacts you and says like, "Hey, do you want to work on this?" You think, well, I have to earn money somehow, I guess. You know, like I'll give it a go. So, but yeah, I don't sit around thinking, what should I write today? It's never like that. It's a business, but yeah, it's oh well.
And on that note, I think
not everybody has to be Stephen King. Just wake up, write 7 pages of something a day, even if it's bad.
And I think on that note, we should probably wrap things up here. So, any final thoughts, everyone?
It was nice talking to you.
My only final thoughts are that you will not escape the fanfic requests now. Someone made an offer like that.
That is very true.
Okay.
It's okay. There are some rich Bionicle fans.
I can only imagine, just as far as the fan fiction community or how that works. I guess from a legal standpoint, my concern is just, someone.
Oh, just file off the trademarks. You should be fine.
Oh, right. That's it. Yeah, everybody would be happy. Change my name. Right.
This character isn't Tahu. He's my original character, Tahu.
Right. The next thing you know, it's 50 Shades of Bionicle. Yeah.
Oh no! Oh dear!
I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Of course you would. Oh dear. And on that note, I think that should just about do it for today. Thank you so much for coming onto the stream and putting up with all these technical issues and everything. And thank you, chat, for putting up with all the technical issues as well. I know it wasn't exactly as easy to get running as we could have been, but we managed eventually. That's what matters.
It was a pleasure.
At least we're not Sega.
We'll see. We'll be right back in a few minutes with some tabletop simulators. So we will see you guys again shortly.
Just shout out to Guillermo in the chat. Notices your elemental energy.
God damn it.